finally happened. I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it was great. You guys are propped up on my bed, so hopefully you don't jiggle too much. For years, friends have been pitching Avatar: The Last Airbender to me, constantly saying that I would really enjoy it, that it's my type of show, all this stuff. And back in 2016, I believe it was, I did watch the first episode, but after that it just kind of like fell away from me. I stopped watching. I don't know why. I guess I just didn't find the time to continue watching. At the ripe old age of late 20s something years old, I have finally watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this one is probably one of my favorite watches I've had in a long time. Prior to me even watching the show or anything, all I knew was that there were benders and there were 4 elements, and I did take a quiz to find out what I would bend. It's water, by the way. I would definitely not bend earth because I'm gonna give you guys a few reasons as to why I enjoyed Avatar: The Last Airbender and why I think you should watch it if you haven't. I'm not a professional reviewer, so don't come at me if this is not like, you know, good. First and foremost, the main reason why I think you should watch Avatar: The Last Airbender is the story. I'm gonna really refrain or try to refrain from giving any obvious spoilers. I might have to mention some plot things, but if I do, I will warn you guys. The story is not light and fluffy. You know, you deal with things like war, which is not something most kids shows would talk about. I actually think that the creators were inspired by The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and really wanted to make something like that. Avatar: The Last Airbender is set in a world with 4 nations: the Water Tribe, the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, and the Air Nomads. The story follows Aang, Sokka, and Katara, who must travel the world to find masters for Aang to master all 4 elements. For those of you who don't know what an avatar is in this show, it's basically a protector of the human race who is reincarnated, and the avatar is capable of bending all 4 elements. So in Avatar: The Last Airbender, currently Aang is the avatar. He also is the last airbender, hence the title Avatar: The Last Airbender. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is a war going on. The Fire Nation is wanting to overthrow all of the other nations, wanting to take over all of the world. Nickelodeon really didn't shy away from the topic of war. I really didn't expect this show to be about that. I feel like Avatar has aged really well, even over 15 years later. It's one of those shows that you could probably binge watch for many, many, many more years to come. Like, you just wish that you could be a part of that world. Like, how cool would it be to bend an element? So cool. Let's talk about animation and cultural inspiration in this show. I love how this show, for something that wasn't made in Japan, it had that kind of anime feel to it. For something that was done, you know, over 15 years ago, the respect that they gave Asian cultures and even indigenous cultures in there as well, which is so cool to see. They also drew inspiration from Chinese art and history and yoga, Hinduism, Taoism, and Buddhism. They also had location inspirations, which is kind of cool when you look back on the show and kind of recognize certain things. Like for the Earth Kingdom, Ba Sing Se was inspired by, or I think loosely inspired by, the Forbidden City and the Great Wall of China. And Inuit cultures and other indigenous cultures were the inspiration for the Water Tribe's locations, as well as their outfits, which honestly are my favorite. It was really cool to see things like the Air Nomads drawing lots of inspiration from Nepal and the Buddhist monks. The Fire Nation's early designs were inspired by Japan and Japanese culture, and also the Chinese and Chinese style of clothing was the Fire Nation's inspiration, which I definitely saw. Okay, let's talk about bending for a second. First of all, I loved how they animated the bending, all of it, especially the water bending. Just watching a scene, okay. My mind didn't clue in that the bending movements were inspired by Chinese martial arts until the scene where Iroh teaches Zuko how to bend lightning. Just the way he was talking, initially I was like, huh, this sounds like Tai Chi. Back when I was 19, I did a little bit of Tai Chi in school. He said that the specific movement or technique he was using was inspired by him watching or examining waterbenders. I just watched how they animated Iroh doing the movement and I was like, that looks a lot like Tai Chi. And then I looked it up and waterbending is inspired by Tai Chi, which uses breath and flowing movements, which you can see when you watch Katara and any other waterbender. Earthbending is inspired by a kung fu martial arts style called Hangar. This style of martial arts is strong. Firebending is inspired by the Southern Shaolin martial arts style. Very strong like arm and leg movements. It's very like powerful. Airbending is inspired by Bagua, which has a lot of circular motions. It's probably to me the most interesting looking form of martial arts. I would love to learn how to do that. Would I be capable of it? I don't think so, but it would be cool to learn. Let's talk about characters for a second. I read this online. It's a point that I just wanted to share with you guys. It's the fact that in Avatar: The Last Airbender, they show the characters going through issues that, you know, you and I may have faced, or, you know, other people in the world may have faced, like Toph and the boy who's paraplegic overcoming their disabilities. And then there's Katara, who faces sexism when she wants to learn waterbending from the master. I don't remember his name, the guy who has the hots for the grandma. She wants to learn waterbending from him, but he doesn't want to teach a girl. And also Sokka, who right away Sokka judges the Kyoshi warriors until he learns their ways and he's suddenly like, oh damn. My last point is how much this show tugs at your heartstrings. It's like 1 minute you're crying because the scene is so emotional or just like touches you in some way, and then the next minute you're laughing because some character or some line is hilarious. Let me just gush over Aang for a second. He cares so much about his friends, anybody who wants to help him. He is so genuinely grateful. He just genuinely cares about everybody. Yeah, so much heart in that character alone. Another character that just like, oh, every time is Iroh. Obviously, I think he's like a fan favorite. He's probably got the best quotes in the whole series. Yeah, this show is just so full of heart. I believe a lot of you can now watch Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix now, since they released it in, I believe it was June of 2020. Probably to hype up the live action series that they're trying to make. Oh dear God, I'm scared. If you haven't watched it, please do. Just give it a chance. Even if you're not into like cartoons or anything, just give it a chance. If you have watched it, then let me know what element you would bend, or you can tell me who your favorite character is. Any video suggestions, please leave them in the comments section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. I hope you guys are having a great start of your year. I will see you guys in the next video. Much love, guys. Take care. Bye. Today's makeup was inspired by a character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Whoever guesses it right gets some brownie points. You don't actually win anything, but there's the satisfaction of knowing that you guessed my makeup inspiration right. He's so cute.